Both types of sports with Schoode and Tor. Football discussion on the internet.
At this moment, I cannot hear you, Schoode. I am not sure what that situation is.
Just a little gimmick. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Bad gimmick. You're one of the few. You're one of the few people that have that rendition of the Commonwealth Dry Goods captain's hat. I was not aware you had that.
I've had this. I think I got this maybe the second or third time I saw you in person. Bought it from the Commonwealth Dry Goods. Maybe might have been year 2. I think I missed the inaugural opening, but I know that this was an early edition of the CWDG hat.
Back when you still had respect for me. Those were the days, my friend.
I'm indebted to your patience, and I wanted to show a little bit of love and pull this hat out. That this is my little way.
The mea culpa. I do appreciate it. Yeah, Tor's schedule is a little wonky, so we're trying to make that work and still do a show for you at least each and every Monday during the off season. Enormous amount to get to today on the program. I don't know if you wanted to start with this, but this seemed to be setting the world of college football on fire. If you're listening to this on a podcast, we're playing a video of Bill Belichick coaching up the boys. They're out there with the pillow turbans on and in the middle of the 50-yard line. And who is walking back and forth between what appear to be, I don't know, his coordinators, but his chick, she's talking on some sort of a device. She's dressed like she's in some sort of a fashion matrix with the very high Trinity heels and the weird trench coat. Tor, I know you and I were both happy for Bill Belichick, but we've also had boys that this happens to. This happened to me in my very early 20s, where I brought my chick that was too hot for me at the time with me everywhere because I was so goddamn
hand up accountability. Show hands, everybody. Yeah, every dude. Yeah, should be hands up right now.
Yeah. You got one that's too good for you. You generally like to show them off a little bit, and then you get a little age on you, get to a few relationships. As Belly was he was married for 100 years, right?
Yeah.
But he's in his 70s. You can't do this. This doesn't work for anybody. And I went from immediately being happy for him for having a nice young piece. He's out on the fucking beach doing the pop-up videos. Although I did see a video of her like doing a bunch of cheerleader shit with a jacked dude. I don't know if you saw that one. That would have made me uncomfortable if I was Belichick. But how can we view this as anything but a really bad look for Coach?
It's a bad look for Coach. Here's the problem. This is simultaneously the most annoying that she has ever been, but also, in my opinion, the hottest she's ever been. So I am completely torn. The boots are driving. Something about the look is getting me. But this can't happen. This just simply on a football field now a semi-professional sport that college football is evolving into. The coach's girlfriend, side piece, new love, can't be walking around on the field glad-handing with other coaches with a whistle.
Yeah.
This is not The Blind Side, Sandra Bullock calling the coach on the cell phone from the sidelines, telling him to run the damn ball more. This is power hungry. It's just maybe the biggest, most obvious power grab I've seen in a while. And it's unsettling that Bill Belichick, who is like king of power control and wants to be the man calling all the shots, is just letting this fly. I don't get it.
Would he ever have done this with the Patriots? I think their recruiting class has gone pretty well. I think he's handling the transfer portal. From what I've read, in a nice way. I see him standing next to high schoolers every once in a while, but there's no fucking way he's marching this girl out into Foxborough in the middle of Gillette Stadium while Mac Jones or whoever the fuck it is, Jared Stidham is out there throwing button hooks. It just doesn't happen.
There's no way. You're familiar with the House of Happiness, correct?
Unfortunately, I'm very familiar. By the way, I just want to make sure that I get this out. I completely disagree with you. I generally think she's fairly attractive. She looks like she's cosplaying some sort of dingy fucking stripper / superhero
I gotcha.
amalgamation.
I understand why people wouldn't enjoy, but that is
Sure.
it's hitting some button. So the House of Happiness was my post-college home with the dirtbag bro dogs, and that's what I called college 2, as I have separated myself from that life, not the lifestyle, but that life, that chapter. I went to college, pretty straight edge, focused on sports, focused on school, not big party time, and then after, whole new world opened up. College 2. And I think Bill Belichick, after years and years of as a servant to the game of football and discipline and all things character, he's at college now. And he's just, if this is his version of hanging loose and being and having fun with the team, then so be it. But it's bad optics. You don't want to be college 2ing it up in your 70s. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's when you do it. And I could be off base. But I hold a tremendous amount of earned respect in my heart for Bill Belichick, and this is damping it a little bit.
I want to see what his salary. Okay, so base salary $10 million a year, $3.5 million bonus pool. He gets, I guess, he has that buyout clause, of course, but they're paying him a shitload of money. I heard Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas from Detroit Pistons fame. He got dragged on NBA Twitter, which is the worst place on earth as far as I'm concerned. The only thing worse might be professional wrestling Twitter.
They're both rough. They're both real rough.
They're tough, man. So LeBron went out. I'm sure you saw this story, and he was jacking up shots before a game, and he was wearing what I can only describe as the worst pair of pants I've ever seen in my life, and no shirt. And Isaiah Thomas's argument was, we're fucking professionals. I would fine a player of mine that went out there dressed like that. Then, of course, all of the dick riders on Twitter were calling him an old man and saying LeBron can do whatever he wants and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure LeBron can do whatever he wants, and he was, but it doesn't change whether or not it's what you should be doing. Or should you be being professional? If you're not only professional, we're talking about, I hate the term GOAT. I'm not going to use it. But if you're talking about LeBron James, potentially one of those, what are we talking about with Bill Belichick? He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, to ever do it. And if your argument is he went out looking like a homeless person for 20 straight years for the Patriots and won a fistful of fucking rings, maybe. But we're either professionals or we're not, Tor. It's like we're either a paid professional and I'm here to do a fucking job. I said it every day I went to do sports talk radio. Like, you don't like this, you don't like that. Well, they're paying me to do the job, so I'm going to go fucking do it, regardless of whether or not it's what I want to do. I'm sure he wants to be tapped in that ass. I'm sure he wants his nose in that balloon knot. But there'll be plenty of time. You got lots of money and lots of time, and I don't think she's going anywhere. So it's either professional or it's not. And it was unprofessional of LeBron James to be out there naked. And it's unprofessional for Bill Belichick to have his, I don't want to say chippy, that's disrespectful, but his very young girlfriend out there with him on the field while he's coaching football.
This is my generation's fault because we just started doing whatever the hell we wanted with no consequences, wearing whatever we want out in any public situation. I'm a criminal offender of that, of the sweatpants at the bars, underdressing at formal events. I am, very familiar with this spearheaded movement of do whatever the hell. And it seems like that is seeping into the people it shouldn't be. The LeBron James, who should be a consummate role model and showing how important the sport is and how
he's a 40-year-old man
professional is. He's a 40-year-old man. I actually will admit I don't wear sweatpants to bars anymore.
Nice.
Because I'm not 22, 23 years old. I am an egregious 27 and too fat to be looking that slovenly. So the very least I can do to present myself appropriately is put on pants that aren't made of cotton and that aren't made of dungaree fabric. Now I got swooshy pants and I got pants that sound like tarpaulins.
Swooshy pants.
Yeah, they are not sweatpants. So there's an evolution that I've seen myself, get caught up in, and other people in my demographic get caught up in who want to be professionals, but some just don't.
You got to be pretty secure too, because here I found the video that I was talking about. Here's your bun Again, it's not Bill Belichick's girlfriend's fault. They put a camera on her everywhere she goes, but showcasing her cheer skills with what I can only describe as a completely jacked dude. I guess Bill is more secure than I am, because I would fucking, if you're listening to this, they're just, he's throwing her up in the air and holding her up, and she's doing the cheer pose or whatever. But that's another thing. If I'm 70, Tor, I'm trying to keep a hold of something like that. I don't know that I want her hanging out with dudes like that.
Listen, baby, you're not cheering anymore. Why are you flying through the air with jack dudes throwing you up? I get you like it. I'm sure it gives you a rush, but we're not doing this. That has to. You know what I'll do? I'm Bill Belichick. I'm a granddad. I'll do the granddad bit and lay down on my back, and we can play helicopter ride or plane ride, and I'll prop you up with my feet. That was the creepiest iteration of this whole saga, was him doing that move, which my grandparents did with me when I was a young toddler and wanted to go for an airplane ride. That's not what you do with the girlfriend. I don't think that. I don't think that's appropriate one bit.
I want to get to this Nico story, and I thought we could talk about it. I know it's not professional football, and yet it kind of is, because it's about college players getting paid, which again, towards something I've always thought should happen, specifically men's football players, and then after that, men's basketball players. But were you shocked that the report today was UNC is already out on that kid? Like, they're not going to be interested in bringing him in. And I wouldn't be shocked if lots of programs that are, especially if you have a first-year head coach and you're trying to build stability, seeing a kid willing to, not only is the report he's not showing up for practices, you saw the report, right? The guy that was on McAfee talking about how they were doing this in the middle of the season before the fucking playoff game last year. They were trying to leverage their position to get more money during the playoffs, which is absolutely unheard of.
I'm primarily shocked at the market actually dictating value here, and people, coaches and teams aren't like grasping to go spend $3 million on a quarterback that had a good but not great season last year, a quarterback that has a lot of room for improvement, and to actually see this new generation of college football player, where a majority of them, the idea is, they're all getting Hellcats and nice rides, and they're driving all around, and they're getting everything they want. You have a guy that was trying to, strong arm his program. They said, go ahead, hit bricks, pal. We're not putting up with this. We're not putting up with your agent. We're not putting up with your dad. And Nico's not going to be the bad guy, because his advisory team put him in this situation. So he looks bad. He's portrayed as a villain. And he's going to end up getting less money than what he was getting in Tennessee, because the market finally took a stand and said, you're not worth $4 million of our NIL budget. We can't do that. For what we have said for all last year, the year before, with NFL teams paying their quarterbacks exorbitant amount of money, with where you would be shocked if they went to the market and got paid like that. It's almost a little refreshing to see someone get told no.
I like the no part of it. And who was it? Orlovsky was on and making it a lot about his age. And he's just a kid. He's just a kid. Well, he's old enough to go off to war. He's old enough to buy an automobile. And 19 is getting younger and younger every day. But he's suffering from a problem, I think, Tor, that a lot of athletes suffer from sometimes their entire careers. And that's, you are surrounded by voices that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you get a cousin in your ear, or a father in your ear, or a mother, and they may even want what's best for you. But, I don't get a lot when I come home. I don't get a lot of criticism, but I also don't get, just a complete whitewashing of everything that I've done. And you need that in your life. Like, you need somebody that'll push back and say, hey, you're asking for too much, or hey, you're being an asshole, or hey, you're not worth this. And I think that's what's going on here. And what's really interesting towards it, it's all the NCAA's faults. We've all known for as long as I've been alive, and college football has exploded to become the number 2 sport in America, just behind professional football. These guys are eventually going to get paid. Like we always knew pot was going to be legal. I am surprised the rollout has been as sloppy as it's been. It's the Wild West out there. And I heard I think it was Nick Saban saying, I would just want to know. No, it's Kirby Smart. He was saying, I just want to know who's going to be on my fucking team. Like, I just want to know which players I'm going to go out there and coach. And right now, you you don't even have that. It's got to be a difficult time.
They're 19-year-olds with classes, and they're moving across the country every year, and they're resetting up shop, and they're wondering why their development gets stagnated. Well, they can never get in a rhythm, and an incredibly important developmental part in their athletic career, and as just becoming a man. It's important to have some type of structure, some type of rhythm to get into, and you keep on jumping around. It's very tough to really improve and get better while you're constantly learning different offenses, and that's just from a football side of things. It's just I guess my time was done there. I must have been rambling. I just don't like that adults have botched this for the kids, and it feels like they do that constantly. The let anything go donors and boosters can just go into one pot all the same. It's the free market. If we're going to make it the free market, I'm not going to complain about that, because these are the rules, and I will respect it. But I think it should have been limited to like jersey sales, true name, image, likeness stuff. If you want to sign autographs for $50, sign autographs for $50. If you want to do a podcast, you should be allowed to do a podcast, get paid, and say, I'm Nico Iamaliava. I have the Nico show, and you can tune in, and I can get sponsors for being me.
100%.
Just getting errant large chunk sums of money, it feels reckless compared to maybe starting with, hey, let's actually stick to what the name of the act that we're cultivating. Let's stick to that instead of just opening the floodgates and see what happens. But this is just growing pains, I think, for the most part, and it'll probably continue to get a little worse before it gets better. But this is a step in the, I guess, right direction of common sense.
Well, the somewhat random nature of the transfer portal. Let's sign contracts then. It's like, if there's going to be this level of competition, I mean, that's just what you do when you are a professional. When I had a radio contract, it's like I got a 3-year contract, and the second year they have an option to pick it up. It's just so that I can't just pick up one day and do what these kids are doing. It's like, well, I'm gonna go play for Tulane because I can get an extra $500,000. And here's another part of it, Tor. We don't know what I look at this and I'm like, dude, stay with Tennessee, stay with Josh Heupel, like stay with the powerhouse program, like continue to mature. The money's going to be there. Like you're looking at this little pittance. It's like, let's get to the NFL, let's triple and quadruple this money the second you get in. But there's also a possibility there's a human component to this tour where maybe you're looking at it. It's like, I don't think I have it. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to put this all together. So I got to get as much money as I possibly can right now.
I think that's very fair speculation, and that's why I'm almost like, I think it's a bit embarrassing to see like a 26-year-old quarterback at like Oklahoma State had a 26-year-old quarterback who's been in college for 8 years, but he's making better money than he would in the first year that he enters the workforce at an entry-level sales job. So I'm almost supportive of, well, I'm not going to go be a journeyman quarterback. I have a contingency of fans that want to support me, that like how I play, and I can continue to get paid doing this. Living free, living nicely, I'm going to do that. So I can support that aspect of it. But if you have that NFL potential, I just think if you're one of these guys, you should do what the guys that were truly successful before you did. Stay at a school, learn an offense, go through it. I think Sean Salisbury has mentioned, like, this is why some of the drop in quarterback play has been so prevalent. It's because none of these guys can truly learn an NFL offense because they're constantly jumping around. If I want to really be a great NFL quarterback, I'm sticking at a school for 4 years and no one's moving me, because that's going to be my best possible path to getting at an actual NFL contract and looks and getting signed, unless I'm balling at a tiny school and get an offer to go up to a Power 4 program. Other than that, I'm trying to stay put and get my rhythm.
Quick trivia question for you. Do you know how old one of my favorite old guy college players of all time, Chris Stanky Panky Wanky, was for your Florida State Seminoles when he won the 2000 Heisman Trophy? Do you know how old this? First of all, how much older does he look than J.J. McCarthy right now? J.J. McCarthy looks like he's 14 years old on an NFL sideline. This dude was playing for the fucking Florida State, out here looking like a venture capitalist.
He looks 35. And a successful 35 at that. I mean, that's God bless that man with just about everything, I'd say. That is, what was he probably there? 23? He's looking like that, maybe.
You're so cute. He was 28 years old when he won
What?
the Heisman Trophy. I believe he's the oldest guy to ever win the Heisman Trophy. I think I might have to look that up, but and then he played. You remember what team he played for in the NFL?
My file on Chris
Wanky.
Wanky. Yeah, I have like no file on him.
No file on Chris Wanky.
This is a true, honest to God blind spot.
Yeah, I love it. I love old quarterbacks, man. I already talked to you about Steve DeBerg. He's I believe he played for your Falcons at one point. He's 47 years old playing quarterback. Chris Wanky got drafted and started several games, I believe, for your Carolina Panthers. He's an NFC South boy. So,
oh wow,
yeah. I don't know that they were in the NFC South at the time. That division's kind of moved around that time, I believe.
So he must have been pre-Delhomme then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because Delhomme went to the Super Bowl, right?
He did. God,
Yeah,
I love Jake Delhomme.
Jake Delhomme, and then did Delhomme go to Denver after that? If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to fucking.
He went somewhere, and it was I was kind of disappointed. Like, oh, that's what you got going here.
I think it's if anybody in the chat knows. And also, I sometimes I get that confused because Jake the Snake fucking went from Arizona to the Denver Broncos.
He went. Okay, so Jake Delhomme looks like actually. He might have been drafted by New Orleans and then spent some time in Carolina.
Yeah.
Went to Cleveland and then Houston.
Oof. Oh, Saints, Carolina, Cleveland, and Houston. Holy shit.
God. That's rough. There's no that's almost like I know you're getting the jersey collections are so popular now with NFL. Yeah. They're all collectors. I'm Jake Delhomme. Maybe my wall is just art. I'm not hanging up any of those rancid jerseys. I'm not putting up I'd maybe the Carolina Super Bowl year jersey. I'm not putting up that Saints jersey. I'm not putting up a 2010 Browns jersey. I'm not putting up a 2011 Houston Texans jersey.
Yeah, but you still like, I don't know. We look at it like, oh, he didn't go out there. He wasn't Joe Montana. He still had 4 teams that wanted to pay him to play football. I'm sure he made plays. I'm sure he had memories with those teams. I mean, Sean Salisbury does nothing but run down his professional career, and he's got a big-ass picture of him playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings right behind him every time we have him on the show. I mean, who is your boy that we made fun of for getting his number tattooed on his back and then he immediately got traded?
Oh, Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, Kadarius Toney. Yeah, man, they can't take it away from him. He got drafted by the New York Giants. That's something you can take with you from cradle to the grave. Yeah, I saw that story, and it's weird because I'm such a proponent. You know me, I don't like the draft. I'm a proponent of these kids getting paid because they're making so much money. You know what I immediately thought of is I thought of Shadur Sanders, and he is getting some shit. Not as much. There's way more people bitching about how much shit Shadur Sanders is getting rather than the actual shit that he is getting, at least from what I have seen.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
I'm panning to find it. I'm not really seeing it except for like burners that are trying to get a buzz going.
By the way, the worst thing they've ever done in the history of X, I'm an Elon guy. They got to demonetize it, man. It's nothing but these fucking wretched engagement farmers. And I don't even care about them as much as I care about the dummies that sit there and make them money by engaging with these obvious troll posts. It drives me up the fucking wall. I would take all the money away from Twitter right now if I could.
I wanted to be an Elon guy so much, but the way that Twitter has really fallen apart, and I can't even get to a comment anymore because the priority list of people with the blue check marks that are just spamming for engagement, you can't even see what real people are talking about anymore. And I'm embarrassed to be paying for it, to be paying for the check mark so I could upload longer videos or whatever. That's embarrassing now.
Yeah.
I might really just go back because what's the point?
I can't because I'm such a terrible. I think I'm dyslexic and I was never diagnosed, so I gotta be able to fucking edit my tweets. And to do that, you gotta pay. So
yes, that's a huge bonus. Sending out a good tweet, seeing it got like 1 like, and there's a huge typo right in the middle of it. It's like, oh god, this has got to go down. I can't do this.
What do you think? Let me pull the story up just for context. If people are watching the show, and again, if you're listening, thank you. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, and make your way on over to youtube.com/Chad Duke Show. You can subscribe for free and watch us live as we tape the show on Mondays. Maxx Crosby now is a dual income household by himself. Not only will he be chasing Pat Mahomes around the field come Sunday this autumn, but Eastern Michigan, where he plied his trade, has named Maxx Crosby the new assistant general manager for its football program. So this is somewhat noteworthy, Gigantor, because it's the first time that I believe a current and active football player has taken on a task like this. According to the program's release, Crosby will assist in evaluating high school and transfer portal prospects, help manage the team's NIL/revenue share budget, and assist the program in fundraising and alumni relations with student athlete support. Now, I think that's a nice way of saying he's one of the coldest motherfuckers in the league, and he appeals to a lot of different walks of life, and it's smart to have him out there pimping the product. But that's all he's doing, right? I think you text me back and said, if this motherfucker is breaking down 1 second of film, I will shit in a hat. That's all he's doing, right? This is just like a classy way to be a hood orderman, I'd assume.
Yeah, it's a great poster child job. It's fantastic. I support it. I really do. I think it helps with the schools. It shows a little bit of love. You might get some more people that recognize and do want to apply and do want to play for that team and be the next Maxx Crosby. I'm sure there's a bunch of dudes in Michigan that are 16 years old with a bad neck tattoo that can rush the quarterback. They're saying, "Oh, I can do this," and now I got an in. So that's great. Now, I'll also note if these GM, assistant GM, college roles can also be used as a way to give these current players or former players real world experience if they want to stay around the game and kind of see how the operation goes. That's fine. I like having more qualified and professional people around the sport. I think it's good. I think having athletes around the sport helps also, so we don't have any more nerds mucking it up.
Mike Mayock types, is that what you're talking about?
Correct. Maxx Crosby, though, is not sitting down and going house to house recruiting. He is not watching a JV juniors film. It's not going to happen. He's going to have a PA or a GA rather, vet the kids, and he's going to say, all right, well, here's a kid that actually could play for us. Maxx Crosby will watch a couple plays, say, like the tape. How can we get you in the doors? That's about all I can expect from him. And that's still a win for a MAC program to have a guy like this contributing. So it's overwhelmingly good, but he ain't watching any film.
So this is his tweet. First of all, sounds like the movie. Yo, this one goes out to the absolute best edge rushers in all of college football. I want you at Eastern Michigan. Do they have the red field, or is that Western Michigan?
I think they have a gray field.
Gray field. The coaching staff has renamed the weak side DE position the Maxx. The winner of the new annual award that stinks will be coming out for a Raiders game. I want the best in America to come and follow my footsteps at EMUFB. Make your own mark. I'll personally mentor and develop you into the best player you can. 1% better is not just a saying, it's a lifestyle. Email me your film. Then he provides an email address and we can evaluate the very best. Go Eagles. I'm going to go back, Tor, to what we were talking about with LeBron, and I'm going to go back to what we were talking about with Coach Belichick, and that is we are either professional or we are not. And I don't give a shit what this guy does in his off season or how he spends his downtime. Like, he can do whatever he likes. But this motherfucker signed a 3-year, $106 million extension, and at the time, before Myles Garrett went back on his word, he was the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. If I'm paying you that much money on a losing football team, I don't know that I'm in love with this. If it's even just it's great for the college, especially like you said, we're not talking about an SEC school here. Like, we're talking about a school that he's bigger than his alma mater for certain. But I just don't know if I'm handing out a deal like that. And then I don't see Jamar Chase announcing a new fucking gig that he's going to have, or, go down the list of people that have signed monster deals this offseason. There's something about this that doesn't sit completely right with me.
I would rather, I think you're right, because at being an NFL football player, history tells us, and hearing NFL football players talk about the really great ones talk about the dedication of the game, talking about the love for the game. You couldn't take me off the field. It was all football or nothing. So having these distractions or even other side gigs could draw you away. I would rather have my player doing this than starting a podcast.
Oh, certainly.
It's still a good amount of attention grasping, but it doesn't even come close to the other side of things. So I don't know if I'm going to see that much of a dip in Maxx Crosby's production at this part of his career that I wouldn't just sign to. He's past his peak a little bit, so I can expect this regression. If it's sharp, then we're having some real conversations, and I'd wonder if Pete Carroll has that ability to like rein it in and say, "Hey, Maxx Crosby, I know they named a position after you. I'm sure you didn't ask for that, by the way. I'm sure." Maybe we put the max position really on the field here, and you focus on this. We'll give you a month in April. We'll give you May, and then we're back to work. You get a month to do your gig. That's your time. So be it. Everything else has to be Raiders.
Yeah, Micah is Micah Parsons beloved? I don't get the feeling that he is. I feel like Maxx Crosby is beloved and Micah Parsons is not. So I'm just looking at this from you miss a tackle or you have a lingering injury or the initial reaction was always going to be, well, maybe if you spent a little less time recruiting for your college, maybe if you spent less time on that podcast. We heard it when Buddy left for fucking Seattle, and it's immediately what he was firing back when Tank was firing back about Dallas and how they're not going to win there. I'm all about not giving anyone any ammunition. And this is a position that ain't going away. This is a position he can do for the rest of his life if he wants. And I understand the university seeing value in having an active player. And if we saw the original story here, while several former players have taken on the GM roles of their colleges, Crosby is the first active player to do so. What about the precedent, Tor? I mean, we talk a lot about if I'm a quarterback, I'm Kirk Cousins, I can't take less money, not because I don't want to help the team, but the rest of my quarterback brethren, that wouldn't be fair to them, which is, of course, is bullshit. This kicks a fucking wall down for a lot of players to then now say, well, Maxx Crosby's doing something. I want to go do a side hustle. Motherfucker, I'm paying you $40 million a year to sack the quarterback. How about we focus on that until your knees give out?
I take it all back. I take everything back, by the way. Maxx Crosby does have a podcast also.
No, he doesn't.
It's called The Rush with Maxx Crosby.
Oh, get out of here, man. I mean, he's going to work hard. You know he's not going to not work hard on fucking football tour. It's annoying, though.
It's just annoying because there's only so much that you can give to the public before they say this is too much. And athletes were like right at the peak. It was as much as that you could give to receive uncompromising love, where people would go to war for you because you were their favorite athlete, and all they knew about you was you played for their team, you worked hard, and you made plays.
Right. And
now that wasn't enough. Now you got to compete in the podcasting world. You have to have your face out there more. You have to compete in the digital age. You have to be an all-encompassing brand with their hand in every single possible donation hat that you grift, whatever you need. That's what it is. You're not just doing chunky soup commercials. It feels like there's going to be a bit of a revolution here where we just have enough, where you are not you're not better at talking sports and being entertaining than you are a football player.
Yeah.
I don't know their ratings. I'd love to find out how many concurrent listeners they're getting and if that juice is really worth the squeeze, because I can't fathom that it is. I don't understand how the digital money from these guys is so strong that you want to sit down and podcast. I don't get it. I don't think they have that disease, that talk radio disease that I have, that you have, where I genuinely love, even as cynical and much of an asshat as I can be, genuinely love doing stuff like this. These guys, it's just not that.
I think it's difficult to turn down what is looked at as free money, because a lot of these podcasts, and not all of them, I think Bussin' with the Boys is pretty good. Like, there's some decent athlete podcasts, but a lot of them are really stupid and a lot of them aren't very good. And it's just name recognition alone. So it's a great point. I don't know if it matters if it makes money. Like, does it fucking matter if the Hawk Tua girl can go out and fill the same improv that a comedian that's been on grinding on the road for 15 years can fill? Like, I don't think anybody cares how that, money is made. But yeah, so if he has a podcast, you're not okay with him taking the position. But if he did not,
pick one, jerk off. You know what? And he's got a great story too. He'd be a great guest, be a great podcast guest, be a regular on a show. You're hardcore edge rusher, got sober, battling demons, leader of the Raiders. You look like a Oakland Raider. You're playing in Vegas. You're like a hero. And it's not enough. You can't just be a guest. You have to be the host, and you have to have Amazon producers in your ear writing up your questions. Who busted your ass? And what was your welcome to the league moment? Like every other athlete podcast does. If they were creative and it wasn't just the same regurgitated slop with a different face, I feel like I'd feel a lot differently about them, but it's not.
I think it's why I like Tom Hardy or Denzel or any one of these guys where it's like, I'm a fucking movie star. Like that. This is what I do. You're not going to see me doing podcasts. You're not going to see me endorsing cologne. Like this is how I make a living, and I take it seriously, and I bust my ass on it, and I focus that. I don't mind guys setting up for the end of their careers. And maybe you get, if you're Crosby or any of these guys that are active athletes, you get that base and you get that subscription base up. So it's there waiting for you, and you can do it 3 or 4 times a week. I don't want to get in his pockets, but does he need to do that after the deal that he just fucking signed? It seems like he's going to be all right.
And is there no, we've also gone past because it's not a new thing where athletes and NFL players are trying to get into media TV. It's a pretty easy path from NFL, no name in the NFL, to panelist, contributor. We'll do a segment with you. But all these guys think that they're the golden god and they need their own podcast. Did we not see what happened with Witten? Witten got crushed. He had a year in the booth. He was bad. And now he's not broadcasting anymore. But now no one is saying you're not good enough because the standard of entertainment has dropped with podcasting. I feel like it has. And now everyone has one because everyone has one, instead of you're good at this. Why don't we lean into your talent? These guys might be better painters, but they're not painting because it doesn't give them enough attention. Right. And it's a little harder. If I'm an athlete and I want a little revenue stream, I can see how enticing it is. It's easy. I sit down. I have some dickhead turn on a camera for me. He's going to edit it and produce it and set it up and make it look nice and crispy. I got an hour in the bank and I'm gone, and that deposit's just going to hit. I understand it, but there's just something about it that does not scream quality. And I don't know if anybody's looking for quality anymore.
You know who it makes me appreciate even more? Talking about this topic, Ken Griffey Jr., who was out at the Masters and fucking shooting killer photographs and sitting there with a hat on behind a giant camera. You wouldn't even know it's him if they weren't making, the biggest deal in the world. And he was the most famous baseball player on earth and probably top 15 most beloved all time. And he decided to find a niche, and by the way, honed an incredible skill that isn't this horse shit that you and I are doing right now. This story makes me respect that decision that much more.
You know who else? Randy Johnson, also a photographer. Yeah. The big unit. Go ahead. That's actually that's a different era, man. That is guys that grew up around physical media, that grew up around respecting some form of technique or art and photography. It's annoying how hard it is to be good at photography and dealing with lumens and shutter speed and all that. So to have the patience to try to know what's a good photo versus a bad photo, I just respect it because it's actually a skill. And you decide, Kenny Griffey Jr. decides, I'm gonna actually develop this. I got all the money in the world. I'm gonna do something that I like to do, and I'm not gonna make it all about me. I love it. He's just a guy now who happens to be one of the best ever at baseball and still contributing in the sports world in a meaningful way.
Friend of the show, Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com, the OG Titans reporter, a guy whose jock I enjoy sniffing, tweeted this out. Not this, but let me get rid of that and put this up. took this picture. I believe he's at the draft, and it is Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, and Jalen Milroe. They will all attend this year's NFL draft, 2025 NFL draft at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. These are the only 3 quarterbacks that would be there. I don't know if you saw the story, Tor, but only 17 players are going to be there total, which I think is the lowest they've ever invited, since it became this big television proclamation. I'm curious about that. I don't know if the draft will suffer because of that. I can't imagine in Green Bay it will. But Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe, and because Shedeur is not going to go, he certainly would be there if he wanted to go. But man, are they expecting all 3 of these guys to go on the first date? And does that mean they're expecting one of these guys to go? Okay, Ward's of course going to go 1 overall, but could Jackson Dart sneak ahead of Shedeur Sanders? I wonder if this is kind of telegraphing the NFL's punches on how they think the draft is going to unfold.
I think this is some classic nasty work by the NFL where they're going to have 2 kids sitting there for 32 picks.
Oh, no. Just fuck their butt, Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis style.
Honestly,
dirty, man.
If you're in the media room and we're going to role play NFL drafts media company here, say, hey, this QB class kind of blows, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? There's 2 guys that are going to go in the top 10, maybe. I think they both do. Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward both go in the top 10, but another one of these Jags isn't getting picked until the 4th round, unless someone gets desperate. Why not set them up for, millions and millions of people to watch them sit and stew in suits after false promises and be best player available? I don't think it's some big conspiracy, but I just don't see Jackson Dart getting taken in the first round or Jalen Milroe getting taken in the first round. I watched them all year last year. I think I know pretty well what a first round quarterback looks like. I've seen guys get reached for, a la Kenny Pickett, who wasn't leagues better than Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe.
Levis.
That's tough.
Levis.
So these
Malik. They love trading back in and getting one of these guys. Hold on a second. First of all, that's diabolical of you, and that would be incredibly Machiavellian of the fucking NFL. I can't say, though, your logic doesn't make sense. That is one of the biggest human stories of any draft, is when one of those jamokes is fucking sitting there and they just keep panning. I mean, they are merciless when they pan that camera back and the family's there and they're consoling him. And sometimes
it's every pick.
Back. Yeah,
it's some cornerback from Toledo going in the first round, and the first shot pan right over to the next quarterback on Kuiper's big board, and they're just sitting there. Phone.
I can't see Shedeur getting past the Raiders. Okay, are we agreed on that? I would
agree. The Saints buzz, it doesn't intrigue me at all. I think the Raiders are foolish if they pass on them.
Are they? Is that just a Saints fan thing? Who's the midget that went out to that was Sam Howell? Remember when all the fucking loser Redskins fans were trying to pump up Sam Howell and they all acted like they weren't after it? Is that Spencer Rattler shit? I see a lot of fucking Saints fans on X talking about they need to clear the decks and make way for this kid. He needs a full season. That's all bullshit, right?
They're being some panicky Pete's. They're gonna stink real bad this year, which I'm over the moon about. I don't care. I don't care what what Atlanta does this year. Right. Watching the Saints team be awful is gonna be so much fun.
Is there no chance the Jets could take a quarterback? Is there no chance?
I'm not ruling that out. The Jets could do whatever. They could do whatever. That is in my eyes, the Jets are a permanent wild card. I'm never going to be able to predict what they're going to pull out of their hat.
You got the Jets at 7. I'm looking at this list here. I don't think it's insane to think that the Colts could draft a quarterback. You start getting down into the nitty gritty here of teams that could use one. Pittsburgh Steelers sitting there at 21. You're telling me that they would have no interest in either one of those guys? One of these non-Cam Ward quarterbacks?
Someone in that building has interest in them. That is something I'll say. Someone in the building does. But are you going to walk up to Mike Tomlin and that brain trust in Pittsburgh that has been such a ridiculously solid brand and say, this is the swing we're taking, Jackson Dart. This is the swing we're taking, Jalen Milroe. I wouldn't have the balls. I don't care how much film I've watched. It wouldn't matter to me how many psych evals I've done, if they aced every possible intangibles test. I'm not bringing that to the front office, and I'm not putting my name on that job because I've seen what these guys are capable of. And if they're not a year one fix, and a project quarterback can't go. A project quarterback with not the amount of raw skill that either of those guys have can't be a first round investment. It just can't. I think Anthony Richardson is starting to set a bit of a precedent for me on that, where he was such an immense project taken at 4 that's going to hurt guys that are slightly less projects getting taken later in the first round.
Unless you got somebody like Bo Nix, and that's different when you're talking about the experience, I understand. But Sean Payton fell in love with him. I mean, if you've got a guy, if you have a coach that's absolutely in love with a quarterback, they might reach. I still think it's a very distinct possibility, Tor, that that Cleveland's trading back into the bottom half of that first round, trying to move up and get a quarterback before the second round because they want to get that 5th-year option on any of these young quarterbacks. Because it's almost like they have to, right? At this point, like, no disrespect to, they've signed Joe Flacco. So is Joe Flacco going to compete with Kenny Pickett for the starting quarterback position for Cleveland? That's the plan. You have to have a rookie to sell that to the fucking fans, don't you?
Well, fucking Kenny Pickett's such a ridiculous human being. He's like, I didn't come to Cleveland to hang out. Well, you're competing with 45-year-old Joe Flacco. You might as well hang out. Are you kidding me? I didn't come here to hang. I came here to beat out Joe Flacco and dick in the dirt Deshaun Watson. No, you're hanging out, and you might luck into it.
He ain't beating out. Flacco knows the offense. Flacco took him to the playoffs 2 seasons ago. How's he going to beat out Joe Flacco?
He's not.
He's not.
He should hang out. He should play ping pong. He should sit on a beanbag chair. He should wait to get traded to a contender where he could step in after an ankle injury or something like that. And
they got some good, nice breweries in Cleveland. I've been to some of them. They're very nice.
I just had a lovely weekend in Ohio. Had a great time. It was nice.
I love Ohio.
But nice. Kenny Pickett, I think that teams without quarterbacks should continually draft young quarterbacks. You don't know which one, unless they're Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Just take a swing. Take a swing at the best guy you think possible. Don't overdraft him, and maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you do. The 49ers got lucky. Teams get lucky all the time. There's concerns. There's questions. The Texans seemingly got lucky with C.J. Stroud, and people had concerns about him. You just get lucky. So did Washington. But you can't get lucky if you're not in it. But drafting him in the first round, it's not worth the luck there. I would wait until maybe an even rawer prospect with a bigger arm or showed something different at a smaller school. There's ways to get lucky, and these teams don't control their own luck. They just jump when they get a sniff of it.
Speaking of controlling your own luck, and I should have brought this up as we were giving the Saints the wood shampoo that they deserve. I was reading an article earlier today about how some guy thinks that the Saints now are the most logical place for Aaron Rodgers to go over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess I didn't know Derek Carr was out. They think he's going to be out for the whole season. I didn't know that was
surprise shoulder surgery getting announced in April. That's awesome, Derek Carr. Way to be. I'm sure he was, working out and trying to get it right. And it's not his. Derek Carr, I think, is a great guy. Everything I've heard or read about him is supposed to be great, but I'm good now. I'm officially out.
I will do the duty hat. That old O&A intern, what was the name of that intern? I will do
Jones.
I'll pull a Cream Pie Jones on this show if Aaron Rodgers is a Saint next year. But I tell you what, Torb, what does make me think with each passing day, and it's been weird we haven't had to talk about Cream Pie Jones came up on the show today, but also we haven't been able to talk about Aaron Rodgers the past couple of weeks. I do think that with each passing day that he doesn't sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it makes it that much more likely that he's waiting on Minnesota and he figures out a way to end up there, whether it's an injury, whether it's JJ going out there and not being physically ready to go at the beginning of camp, or whether he just doesn't look as sharp as they think. They've got a fucking window and they're paying guys a buttload of money. I think with each passing day, it becomes more likely that's still something that's on the table.
My life I was thinking of it. It's been a little too peaceful, and I realized I haven't. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been in the news for a little bit. I haven't just been like either disgusted or disappointed or shocked. It's been nice. He can go wherever at this point. I'm starting to be more optimistic about his actual skill level, looking back at some of the games at the end of the season last year. but that ceiling, I think, is drastically lower than what I would have expected it to be 3 years after the initial Jets signing. I thought he would have still had gas in the tank. I thought there might have been one decent season in New York. Injury is an injury, but that's no excuse to me.
It's no excuse. This 45-year-old man, the year after he fucking blows his knee out, there's
Stop
no
playing.
excuse.
No, there's no excuse. If you're gonna keep it up, he could do so many great things around the sport of football. He would have a podcast I would listen to. I would. It'd be dry. It would be boring. He would a lot, and he would try to be overly important. But I'd tune in. I'd enjoy it more.
He would tongue click. What do you call that when you click the tongue?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Ooh, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I got a lot on my mind.
What did you fucking turn on him, by the way? I thought we were both kind of lockstep that he's getting a raw deal from the media.
You know what? I turned on him when he didn't go to Tennessee because he didn't want to move. That's why. Because he didn't want to pay movers to get out of Jersey.
You know, Tor's always got the two-tone blues back. There's one thing I know about him.
Oh yeah, I almost ran into Eddie George in a restaurant. Almost
get the
lost it.
Fuck out of here. You would have to blow him twice, once for you and once for me. I mean, it'd have to be two sloppy blowjobs.
This dude, handsome as all hell, still looks like he can play. I saw a line of over 100 waiting to get an autograph from him. People in Eddie George, Ohio State jersey. Someone passed out in the line because I think they were so excited to be at Eddie George. But eating dinner with my family, Eddie George and his wife roll into the restaurant.
In Ohio, no less.
In Ohio. He took that job at Bowling Green, and now he's community staple 1A. He sat down. I said, I'm not going to bother him at dinner. It's fine.
Why?
But because I'd embarrass myself.
I'd bother the button of his corduroys. That's what I'd be bothering. I'd be
if I had the opportunity
at that.
If I had the opportunity, you know it. But one thing I did do, people look at me with disgust a lot with my size and stature and girth in general. But one thing, there's one sect of people that look at me and give me an up and down that I really do appreciate, and it's not women, it's football coaches.
Yeah,
they like seeing the big body walk around. And,
oh my God.
And
is that what you call yourself?
Scouting what happens. I was getting up for the table. We were about to leave. I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
Well, I didn't really have to piss or anything, but I wanted Eddie George to look at me. And I said, tell me if he looks. Because Jeff Hafley at Boston College gave me an up and down one time. Made me feel really good. All after playing. Never got an email back from any of these guys. Never even had a chance at doing so.
You sure they're not just down low? Are you sure that's not what's going on here?
You know what? Maybe 2022 tour.
Swinging.
2022 tour. Maybe we got some down low conversations.
Okay.
I got up. I told my parents, tell me if he looks at me. And I'm walking to I'm playing it cool too. Walk to the bathroom. I give him a quick glance and I go right back. And then I hear, he did. And then
oh no, they yelled it across the fucking eatery.
They didn't yell it, but it was like a nice little signal. Said, "Oh, okay, that happened." So that made me real happy. Thinking that I caught Eddie George's eye for even a brief moment while he was enjoying his steak dinner.
I wouldn't interrupt him in front of a steak, but I would sit at that fucking table long enough to when the tab came, then I would walk over there and ruin his night. By the way, this is a tweet that is in response to your bullshit. Aaron Rodgers is the first player I have ever seen get called washed after being top 10 in both yards and touchdowns. I think about this tweet every single time somebody says the Steelers shouldn't wait around for Aaron Rodgers and they should just move ahead with Mason fucking Rudolph.
I'll keep getting proven wrong. I will. I don't know. He's just got to sway me back. There's just some be professional. I'll go back to the point A of this show. You're either professional or you're not.
Sure.
I feel like he has lost some of that professionalism over the last couple of years. I need to see locked in flow state Aaron Rodgers. And then I'm all back in. I'm all in on the shaman when he's on. There may have not been a more fun quarterback to watch play in the 2010s. And even in the early 2020s than Aaron Rodgers. When he was dialed, he could run, he could pass, he could do everything. But now it's just his demeanor on the side. It was more the sour shoe piss face that he had on the bench. They just looked miserable and he looked decrepit. Didn't look like it like Aaron Rodgers, alpha dominance, 0.001% of quarterbacks ever to walk the earth.
Doesn't look like that after they go through the Jets meat grinder. There isn't one person that comes out of that place including their best wide receiver. All
You're
young
exactly
players.
right. You're 1000% right. He had the hubris to think he could beat that team.
They all
he
do,
had
man.
he had the confidence. He said, "I'm the one. I'm Aaron Rodgers." Green Bay, all they did was give me semi-winning teams for my entire career. I'm going to go resuscitate the New York Jets. Good luck.
They all think they can do it.
They
Only
can't do it.
Rex Ryan did it. By the way, I've been critical of Micah Parsons, but go ahead and give him credit for showing up for the offseason workout. That would have been a very easy thing for him to skip, and maybe even a prudent thing for him to skip. And he showed up. I saw Dak Prescott basically trying to give him the old words of encouragement, like, look, this team's eventually going to pay you way too much money and they're going to lose anyway. I don't think I'm paraphrasing, of course, but give him credit for that. I had this pulled too. This is the 2025 wide receiver fantasy rankings, top fantasy rankings, PPR format. I don't play PPR, but if you're listening and you don't watch, top 10 goes like this: Ladd McConkey, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, there you go, Tor, CeeDee Lamb, Brian Thomas Jr., Justin Jefferson at 4, Malik Neighbors at 3, Devontae Adams at 2 in his new home out in Los Angeles, and then, of course, the king, Jamar Chase, there at 1. Surprised at Devontae Adams because of the presence of Puka Nacua, and that guy's going to have 11 catches a game. And Malik Neighbors, I mean, they don't have much else unless they draft Travis Hunter, but who the fuck is going to be throwing him the football? Jameis Winston? I have no idea why he is that high on this list.
Jamar Chase, option number 1. That's who it is. That's your number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, second-year quarterback, second-year basket case quarterback, second-year coming off an injury quarterback. 4 is appropriate. He's super talented. Staying away. Malik Neighbors,
really
gong show in New York, unless they shock the world and draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward and take one, then down on him. Brian Thomas Jr., he's got the long-nosed Easter Island dickhead throwing him the ball all season. So
he's a stud, man. He played well for my squad last year.
He's a stud. He's going to be a great receiver in the league. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence, though. I'm willing to. I'm willing to wipe the slate clean every single season, but by week 3, I look like the jerk off for wiping that slate clean and forgetting the previously dirty slate. Maybe I don't do it this year.
You're not in my league. I'm all over DJ Moore this year. I mean, I don't know how he can't be in your top 10 with Ben Johnson there. And then fucking all those other old fucking wide receivers got washed out. What are they going to do? I mean, they ran the football a lot, though, in Detroit, too. There's a lot of rushing touchdowns in Detroit as well. I think Terry is
going to be a monster. Terry's going to be a monster. Debo might be a sneaky monster with a creative play caller. We might get it.
AJ Brown outside the top 10 is a little suspect to me. Maybe that's just durability concerns, but I feel like he's a lock for 12 touchdowns every year.
He's just great. Like I'm not going to slander AJ Brown. He should. If I just ended up with AJ Brown on my fantasy team, I'd say good draft. Good draft. Whoever else I get, good draft. AJ Brown, I got him. That's good.
I think if Justin Jefferson slides out of the top 5 in anybody's fantasy football draft, you're a fool. He caught touchdown passes from Nick Mullins, for God's sake. It doesn't matter who's a quarterback for this fucking team. He's going to go out there. He's got 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. That's just what he's going to have every single year.
It would be prudent. Yeah, it would be prudent to draft him. Where's Mike Evans? Everyone that I ever know
great question.
Everyone that I know that's ever won a fantasy league has had Mike Evans for some point of the season. If they trade him high, so be it. They got a great return. If they kept him, he's got 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, and a ton of catches also.
Let's take a look.
Why is that not there?
Oh, no. 2023, 1,255 yards, 13 touchdowns. 2024, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. And then 2021, he had 14 touchdowns. He's a lock for pencil him in at double-digit touchdowns each and every year. And you're right. He's great value every year because in every league I've ever been in, and he gets slept on like a motherfucker, and you can just swoop in and pick him up 2 rounds later than he should be drafted in.
I'm sitting here, and I get swept up in this so badly, and I think you might have a bit of it also, where that urge to nail a rookie or a second-year player and just be like, you don't know anything about football. I know so much, and I'm going to take your butt here with this pick. And what happens?
Take your butt.
The guy's got 6 catches through 4 games. He's got a weak hammy. And then I'm just absolutely getting roasted for the rest of the year.
That's why I drafted Paris Campbell. I mean, I do it every fucking year where I'm like, I know more than any of these guys. This system works. This guy's skill set fits in perfectly.
I can't stop. I made fun of my dad for years because his guy that he never didn't draft was Amani Toomer. He had Amani Toomer on every single fantasy football team he had. Well, Amani Toomer is in the league. I've drafted Jameson Williams every single season when he's been suspended, when he was a rookie. This year, it didn't matter to me. And I'm going to draft him again this year. And I can't watch Jameson Williams go for a 60-yard end around touchdown and have him not be on my team. I don't know. That's a weird disease where I handcuff myself to him after his rookie season, but I'm locked for life.
Am I having some sort of Mandela effect where I can remember Amani Toomer playing for the Buccaneers for 1 year? Am I just fucking pulling that out of my ass?
Let me see. I can't recall.
I know like a lot of wide receivers, like Joe Juravicius was there. We both love him, I think. No, he never played 1996 to 2008. Wow. What a career. Says here he's with the Giants his whole career. I would have sworn a stack of Bibles that he played for the Browns and the Buccaneers at some point. I don't know who I'm thinking of. Monty Toomer used to torture the Redskins. Him and Ike Hilliard, man, torture the fucking Redskins. I hated those guys. All right, I got this piece of art for you I wanted to get your reaction to before we close up shop. We had a Sweet Daddy James art contest on the Chad Duke Show. If you don't know what that is, you're better off. You wouldn't see the winner.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great.
This is a artistic interpretation by a gentleman named Zachary Post. He used colored pencils. He did not use AI. He's an actual human being. And this is a picture of Jim Jester at his home after the shooting took place outside that his son witnessed and heard. And then Jim decided the best way to handle that was to go upstairs and go to sleep after watching a Robert De Niro Netflix movie, and then threatened to beat me to death with a baseball bat the following night. This is the photo that won the contest tour. As you can see, Jimmy's body is oozing off the bed. The nipples not doing any favor. I believe that is a Baltimore Orioles
that's
shredded blanket.
It's a great detail because that blanket's been around since 1976, and it's actually lost all pigmentation aside from the black blob there.
Sure. And then there's the squad car outside with the blood. If you notice down on the laptop, there is a question mark in one of the panels because Jim went to sleep instead of giving us an update on Solid Dudes. And then there's also a baseball bat next to him with a sticky pad on it that says 4 Dukes. Also, a nice piece of detail. There's a pistol above him on the bed when we learned that Jimmy has 2 pistols in his house that he doesn't know how to use and is terrified of, and they both belong to his wife. So I think this is just an unbelievable piece of artwork, and this gentleman won $50 US, so I'm sure he's taking his family out for steaks.
Credit to the hand-drawn art. This is a masterpiece. Sorry, Jimmy. I mean, it's a rough look, and I have my own bone to pick with DC Sports Mark.
Oh no! What happened?
DC Sports Hack doing AI renderings of me of the octopus.
Oh, yeah, he does
big
that
dumb
a lot.
face. Yeah, Jimmy. I can't. Why? I root for him so hard. He can't have firearms in that house.
No. Throw them into the fucking river. Go down to the Occoquan and toss them in. Hey, something else that I'd like to request from people that listen to the show, Tor, I love this bit. Jake did this from State Farm. If you're watching us up on the big screen, if you do the casting bit when you watch the show, take a screen cap and tweet it into us. I love that bit. I recently, God damn, I'm an old fucking geezer. I recently started casting just YouTube stuff up when I'm riding the Peloton. I'm like, I could have been doing this. I didn't have to sit here and DVR old episodes of The Reporters on NFL Network. I could have been watching whatever I wanted. So now that I'm doing that, I'm super into it.
I've been burning through old NFL top 10s on YouTube. Just I can't get enough. It's so good. Journalists were journalists. Sports writers were sports writers. They were opinionated. They weren't screaming all the time. The topics were solid. The opinions were clever. The production value was a 10. And now it's Kay Adams slightly flirting with every player that she's interviewing, and the Twitter sphere just, I can't handle it.
I'm really into that. I wish I could be with you, and normally I am, but you know how I feel about Kay Adams, even though
I got you.
She's a lady.
That's my Maybe I'm inselling it up, but I'm just not in favor of it.
So let me ask you something. If you're mad at DC Sports Mark, how mad are you at me for posting this on the @bothtypessports?
If it wasn't accurate, I would have gotten mad. But honestly, it's probably the most represented I've ever felt on a football field is watching this great young lad that I think came to his initial training camp at Florida at 450 pounds.
Sure.
Worked hard, shed a lot of weight, still has a dump truck NFL ass.
Dump truck ass.
I
tweeted out Radio's Gigantor getting swagger jacked, and then it's just the Gators player with the most enormous ass. Didn't they name him like the Push Buster or something? That's like the nickname.
Someone really should take a shot. I don't know how tough he is. He's got the size. I mean, honestly, the Damon Snacks Harrison archetype should come back. There needs to be a Vince Wilfork that just plugs it up. And if you're in the NFC East and you're sick of this nonsense, draft him. Pick him up. Take a shot. Because getting punked all game, and especially in the playoffs, when third downs and fourth down conversions are basically automatic for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you don't have the muscles at quarterback to be able to achieve that play, do something great. Go for it. And I respect Strahan for saying, yeah, back when I played, if someone tried to do that and do the tush push thing, we would have had a player ejected for what they did to the quarterback. We would have that would have been the happenstance, but I think it's irresponsible to say you need to go out and really inflict pain on the quarterback. I just think it's irresponsible to say, but I completely understand the rationale there.
The difference in the Eagles being a championship caliber team and not is that play. So if you're in the NFC East, if you are the Giants, the Giants, Cowboys, or the Commanders, and you're not spending 20% of your time figuring out a way to blow that motherfucker up, then I don't think you're doing your job, because statistically it means too much to them. It means more to them than any other single play for any other team in the NFL. I think you got to do it.
And you're going to run into them. If you're having a good year, even if you get swept by or you get swept by Philly, you're like, okay, that's over with. But we're still in the playoffs. You're still going to have to face them.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to go and stop it eventually. So you might as well actually commit
to the bit, as they say. I think I just came up with that. If you're listening on podcasts, come on over and check us out on YouTube. We go live usually on Mondays. It's youtube.com/Chad Dukes Show. And if you are watching on YouTube, please to be going over to Spotify or to iTunes. So we have free podcasts that you can listen to up there. We have sponsors over there. So if you listen, it actually puts a little money in our pockets, since this is the first episode that we've done with zero. Oh, I take it back. Look at that. You can always rely on Andy Schoner. Thank you so much, Andy. I was literally about to say the first YouTube episode I've ever done with zero super chats. I wanted to bang my head against the fucking wall. Thoughts on potential TJ Watt holdout and landing spot for Rodgers? We actually just talked about Aaron Rodgers, Andy, and how comical it is that Saints fans are deluding themselves into thinking they're a viable option now that Derek Carr is going to miss the season, most likely. I hope TJ Watt doesn't hold out. I understand this is a tool, but I'm a relic of an ancient time tour where it actually does not behoove these guys to put the logo on the side of the helmet in front of their own needs, in front of their family's needs. But they're teams that just do it differently, and the Steelers are one of those teams, and that brand seems to mean more to me than others. So if TJ Watt played for the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Houston Texans, I wouldn't give two shits, but I hope they can figure out a way to make it happen, especially in light of the fact that, no disrespect to Crosby or to Garrett or whatever, but I don't think anybody that plays that position or gets after the quarterback does it better than TJ Watt.
There was a ton of weirdness, and I'm not sure if you caught it at the end of last season, where Steelers fans, the real dumb ones, were talking about like the defense's sack numbers, pressure rates when TJ Watt was on the field versus when he wasn't on the field, and shocking, the pressure rates were higher when he wasn't on the field. And they didn't realize that's because you drop a lot of the additional pressure when you've got a psycho killer on the edge and you've got guys that are just going on one-on-ones now. You're going to get home. They're NFL defensive ends. They're going to win more reps. But when TJ Watt's on the field, that lets you know shit's about to get down. So I thought that was some real nasty narratives starting at the end of last season. I think TJ Watt's just I think he's a great player. I think he's a team guy. I think he respects Pittsburgh and the team. He's way less corny than his dumbass older brother. who just can't stop humble bragging on Twitter and trying to be a heartthrob, a teen heartthrob, and he's 35 years old and is
he's a
living the life.
cornball at least. He's a corny dude, JJ.
He's never said he wasn't corny, and he admits when he's hamming it up, but it still is just so in your face that I can't handle it. TJ Watt, though, is just pass rushing machine. So I think he understands that. I think he's got the sensibility to know that he's not 25 and up and coming anymore. He's established, and he's going to get his due eventually. So I think he's going to be rational. So rooting for him. He's a guy I can root for. He's a guy that I can watch dominate my team and still be impressed. 2 forced fumbles against Atlanta last season, neither recovered. An incredible season.
That argument is like the fucking Bengals fans that are saying they don't need to resign Trey Hendrickson because the defense was so bad even with him. And it's like, no, you don't take 16 sacks off the fucking field and get better on defense. Suck my balls. Speaking of that, let me suck some balls here. Joe Azer circumventing the Google feed.
I'm butt sliced.
The big old fucking Venmo. Thank you so much, Joe. This will pay for a portion of what I have to pay Gigantor to sit there and sweat on the screen.
Hey, I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Joe Azer. Call him for all your buying and selling of home needs. Nodak said JJ Watt and Russell Wilson could be the 2 main characters on Scrubs. That's pretty funny. Thank you to Andy and Petra Shota. Thank you to Joe Azer for supporting the store. And again, the shop, again, the podcast. Fuck you. If you haven't signed up on iTunes and Spotify, please go and do it. I have one last question for you, Tor.
Yeah.
If Eddie George happened to go to the bathroom with you and you were both standing at the urinal and you could actually, because you're so damn tall, look over and get a fucking look at that hog, would it be a short glance or a long glance?
It would be an insufferably long glance.
Hey, what do you got?
Both types of sports.
Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long. Nice toss.
Both types of sports.
You don't throw